Hi, everybody. Today I'm going to be talking a bit about how to prepare yourself for the 7-day challenge. I have already mentioned the idea that we don't want to get into an all or nothing state of mind and think the world is ending on Wednesday, because it is absolutely not. So please don't go out and go crazy and have a bunch of chocolate bars and drink a bunch of wine, and that won't put us in the best mental and physical frame to start this. So let's try to avoid doing that, because I know I have certainly done that before when I knew that I was facing something. This isn't going to be a week of pain, torture, and deprivation. I'm not saying that you may not have some challenges, but the best way to ensure success is to set ourselves up, set up our environment, set up a support network, and that's part of us. Our role here is to support each other and to make sure that we have the tools at our disposal. So one of the things that I suggest doing is looking at your kitchen and your pantry and trying to clean that out. I know it gets a little bit complicated when we live in houses with other people. I totally understand. I have a daughter and I have a boyfriend, and they are not always on the exact same page that I am with things, but we've come to a happy medium. One of the things that I've done with my boyfriend, first of all, he works for one of the largest chocolate companies in the world, and chocolate is my personal downfall. So we do have a specific rule about chocolate, about that not being in the house, because I just can't. I can't leave it alone. It's not going to happen. But there are certain snack foods that aren't triggers for me, and if he wants to have Pringles, that's fine with me. It's not really going to bother me. But think about your own kitchen and your own pantry, especially if you have trigger foods, especially if there are foods that you have a harder time resisting. Really try to clear those out. Do the best that you can. Talk to your family and explain to them what lies ahead. And if we can get everybody on board, that would be the best situation possible. So that's one thing that I suggest doing. The other thing that I suggest doing is telling your friends and family if you want to. It's always good to have support. You can always invite them to join us. Having support is good, but the act of declaring our intentions and making a public statement, you'd be amazed how much more accountable you feel. And once it's out there, it sets you up for a mind frame of, I'm going to do this, like, you're not going to see me fail. It just changes the way we think about things. And sometimes I publicly declare things, not because I want to share it all, but really because I know my personality, and if I put it out there, it means I am going to do it. There is no chance that I'm not going to do it. So that's another thing that I suggest. Then the next thing I suggest is, of course, to look at your week ahead. We all have things in our life, and that is normal, and that's fine, and that's how every week of our life is going to be from henceforth. So one of the easiest ways to start living the 80-20 principle is to look at things that are coming up. So for instance, I have a birthday dinner. I'm going out on Saturday night. Or you're going to the cottage, or there's this event or that event, or I'm traveling, or stuff, what's coming up in your life that may cause a bit of a challenge. You won't be entirely in charge of your own food. You won't be doing all your own cooking, stuff like that. So one of the ways to minimize that is to, first of all, have a plan. So sometimes that involves bringing food with us if we're going traveling. Sometimes that involves having a healthy snack in our purse, or making sure we have healthy foods at hand all the time. If we're going out to dinner, sometimes it's about really making a decision ahead of time and setting our intentions for the type of food that we're going to be ordering. A nourishing and filling entree that we will enjoy, but also trying to be as responsible as we can. Maybe saying no to dessert. Maybe not having wine if we know that wine will lead to poorer food choices. I mean, it's totally up to you, but life is about give and take. So the 80-20 principle is that knowing these things that are coming up, that the 80% of the time that life is normal and we have control over it, that we do the best that we can. And then we can still have pleasures and we can still have treats. But those treats are in controlled situations, and we'll be talking about that in the 7-day program. We'll be talking about cravings and binging and how to, not to behaviors that will help you, as well as harm reduction strategies, as I like to refer to them. The other thing is to fill your house with good food and make sure you're armed with the best possible arsenal. Go shopping and buy. This isn't rocket science. Go buy whole foods. Don't buy diet foods. Don't buy, it's little as possible processed foods. Like a little hint here is that as close to the earth and whole foods as we possibly can. It's hard to go wrong. Buy the best quality that you can afford. Some of us can buy organic, some of us can afford this, but we make exceptions for this. And everything's about a trade-off. I'm not saying that you have to buy organic and you have to buy everything at the highest quality, but really try to make an effort to fill your home with best solutions, foods that you will eat, and get them as ready as possible to eat them. So for instance, some of the easiest things that I always make sure that I have is that I have cut up vegetables, so that I have veggies and dip options. I always make sure that I have little snacks on hand. I really try not to eat after dinner. That's something that I've really gotten used to. I eat enough during the day that I'm not hungry, and I nourish myself and feed myself sustenance so that I don't have cravings and I'm not hungry at night. So that's a bit of a shift that if you're not doing that we can get to that as well. But think about your day. Think about what you need to fuel. Think about days that you can reserve for exercise, and days that you won't be able to. And just look at your week ahead and just think a little strategically. I'm not saying that you have to have everything figured out, but we want to get in the habit of thinking ahead. And we also want to get in the habit of making conscious decisions about our food and making connections, so that when we eat, after we eat something, how do we feel? Before we eat something, making a decision. We're not always going to make the quote unquote best decision, but a big win is to actually make a decision, because sometimes we feed ourselves things without thinking. Sometimes we're standing up in the kitchen and literally just eating. So try to make conscious decisions. Anyway, those are a couple of tips to set us up for the rest of the week. As you know, the program will officially start on Wednesday, but I really am trying to get you into a good mindset, in a good place, so that we're already ramping up for Wednesday. Just a reminder that this is an open group, so if you want to invite more people, they are more than welcome. That is great. We are an open and happy community. And again, I am always here to answer any questions that you might have. I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye.